All right. Welcome to CrossTalk this week. We're on the Arizona Reservation with the Navajo. We are at the Blue Gap Bible Mission. And as we come today, we have joined Alpha Ministries and what they're doing. And we just want to identify what's happening here and be challenged to understand what Alpha is about, where it came from, and some of the activities that are going on, and possibly how you might be able to be involved in what's going on here to help the people that are here on the Navajo Nation. So, Miss Trudy, give us the background. What is Alpha Ministries?
Well, Alpha Ministries is a ministry that works alongside Navajo pastors and their congregations, their churches. It was established over 30 years ago by Brother Paul Hampton and another gentleman, Ben. I can't say Ben's last name right now. It'll come to me later. But Ben worked out here in the late 50s, early 60s. Anglos is what we were called, could have businesses on the reservation. And he had a car dealership, and he got to know local pastors and local people and tried to help them in lots and lots of ways. He was instrumental in bringing firewood into them, bringing other things. And Ben Johnson, he was a friend with Brother Paul Hampton, who was a missionary to Alaska. He was also an associate pastor at Southside Baptist Church when we were attending there. And in fact, he went some other places after that to be a missionary. And he would join Ben out here in doing lots of things over lots of years. He established Alpha Ministries as a 501c3. And somewhere in that process, he invited Stan, my husband, to come out on a trip just to see what was going on. And Stan was intrigued by that. And they came out, just the two of them, and helped work on Brother Tommy's house and did some things around the church. And Stan, I don't think it was that trip. I think it was another trip. He came out several times with Brother Paul, but at one point he felt called to this place, called to be a missionary here, and to help with the work here, because people needed to be discipled. The pastors here, the Navajo pastors here, were few and far between, and they needed help.
Okay. And about how long have you all, as a family, been coming out here?
I've been coming out about 15 years. Stan started before me, because they came in the summer. They came not in the summertime, but during the year, and I was working, so I couldn't come. He has been out here 20 plus years.
Yeah, I had the privilege of being under Brother Paul's leadership at Southside and helping him get to Alaska, a couple other things. So we praise the Lord for people that have a heartbeat for missions and ministry. Jonas, you're here leading the team this year. Tell us what some of the things are that Alpha does as they're here on the reservation, and some of the activities that people need to know about and possibly help with.
Yeah. So like Trudy said, we're here to support the mission, the pastors, and those kind of things. But, you serve by doing physical things for them, physical service, and earn their respect and those kind of things. So we come and we do some small construction projects. In past years, we have done some electrical projects for them, some concrete sidewalks and flooring and those kind of things that will bless them here for the food bank ministry, that kind of thing, just to support and encourage them.
Well, as we're here, how many are on the team, and how many different areas and churches is that in one team?
There's 32 people on the team, including you guys. And I haven't stopped to think how many churches are represented, but at least
half a dozen, I would say at least.
Yeah, I was going to say at least 6.
It's a group effort. It's not, we're not led by one church or anything like that. We're supported by many churches. Okay. And over the years, we've had all kinds of people come with us.
So financially and otherwise, what are some of the things that you all are, I know you put packages together today. I know there's opportunity with firewood, et cetera. What are some of the ways that Alpha not just physically comes out, but meets needs and connects dots for being able to share the gospel?
Well, we try to be a help to Brother Tommy however he needs it. And, we have limited resources, but we've been blessed. People have been, we have people that give to Alpha every month. We have people that give at certain times during the year. Some people give just randomly. And that allows us to help Brother Tommy when he needs that help. Sometimes it's that his vehicle isn't running and he can't get to church, or he can't get to the people that he needs to get to, and we help him with that. He is what I think is a pastor's pastor. Mm-hmm. He ministers to his flock. Even if they're not coming to church every week, he goes to them. He does things for them. He meets them in their homes. They call him for funerals. I can't tell you how many funerals that I just know that he has preached this year. Mm-hmm. So many of them. And he always has a challenge when he goes to those, because there may be one Christian person that is in that family that wants it, and they may all others be traditional. And it's a constant battle, but that gives him an opportunity to witness, share Jesus. He has an open floor to share Jesus. And there are many times at those funerals that someone has been interested in knowing more about Jesus and knowing more about how to receive him. And that's the blessing in it. There's anything else specifically?
Well, no, just I know that they have the food bank here, and they serve about 100 families a month. Mm-hmm. There's a operation where firewood's delivered during the winter, mm-hmm. and that is to widows and handicapped individuals that basically can't get it for themselves. Are there other things that you know of that they're doing that folks could either participate in or at least pray for in that process?
Well, the firewood's a big thing. Okay. Because they all heat with wood stoves. And he also takes it to just indigent people that have no other source of help. Mm-hmm. Most families help their elderlies or help their people that are less fortunate than them, but there are some that just don't have families to mm-hmm. do that. And it's a huge expense. Yeah. It's huge.
Many of the ones you're talking about, based on being here and talking with people and with Brother Tommy, the younger people are somewhat leaving the reservation. Some of them will come back because of the land and those kind of things, but it is leaving some of the elderly and some others in a little bit more desperate situations than they've been in before. Mm-hmm. And so he's ministering to them. Mm-hmm. Jonas, this building, there's multiple things that you all have worked on. I know you mentioned the electrical, and I saw the lights outside. The most everything around here in the last 20 years has been either maintenanced or encouraged or built. Or
we helped build this church, the building we're sitting in. The pews came from Northside.
Northside in Princeton, Kentucky. Yes. Okay.
When they remodeled, we brought those pews out here.
So where are we at?
Blue Gap, Arizona. My part has been more maintenance. I think Brother Stan was more involved in building this new church building. But since I've been coming, we did some roof repairs on it. We repaired the ceiling in here that had got water damage, and like I said, electric and those kind of things. It's been more. What I've done has been more maintenance based.
Yeah. Well, in connecting with the people over and over again, and the teams coming from different places, let's talk about the gospel and the need. Meaning, it's evident that the traditional way of the Navajo Nation has been an impediment in the gospel being spread. When you talk with people as you all come out, what do you see? Is it open? Is it resistant? Is it what? Do you tell us and tell folks that are listening how to pray for that is the best way I can put it, Jonas.
So it's a bit hard to describe, but as we've already talked about, the traditional religion that they have here is an impediment. Most people, they're friendly, they're open to talk. And, I talked with a gentleman yesterday. He's really struggling through some things and really wants help, but just wrestling with so much from the culture, from being here on the reservation with not much purpose, doesn't really have a job, works on some vehicles for his family and that kind of thing. That's a pretty common story. So there is a certain openness, but as we find out, a lot of them try to serve two masters. It's the traditional, because that's what my family is, and I can kind of relate to that as well, coming from a religious background, because that's what your family is. You try to appease your family, but at the same time, you hear the gospel, it makes sense. And I actually shared with a young man yesterday that was struggling. I said, problem is you're battling between light and darkness. There's two kingdoms. There's a kingdom of darkness. We understand that. There's a kingdom of light. And the goal is the kingdom of light will overcome the kingdom of darkness. But if you just try to go halfway and be in between, serving two masters, you will just be miserable. You'll never get to anything. You'll always be miserable. You have to abandon the darkness, go to the light, and let the chips fall where they may. But that's a big struggle.
Yeah, very big struggle. And with us sitting at the table here in the building, it's hard for people to understand. This is a desert. Mm-hmm. And there are many miles between each other. There is isolation all over this nation. The limited resources, even in Chinle, which would be a major city, if you will, in our context back in Kentucky, Tennessee, and places that listen to this, there's not even many resources in that city.
Chinle is, I think, the biggest city on the reservation.
Yeah.
And UC House.
Yeah, and it has a high school, a couple of gas stations, a grocery store, and an Ace Hardware, and that's pretty much the resource level. Now the hospital's there, and so those limitations deal with the mind, how they process what's going on, and so there's a desperate need for people to have a clear understanding of what it means to hear from the Lord, respond to the Lord, and then learn how to follow. And one of the things that let's go back to Stan for just a moment. His goal was, I know in talking with him as he served with us, to train those pastors in teaching people how to follow the Lord. Mm-hmm. Now, this has been 10 years since Stan went to be with the Lord, and I just briefly want to touch that for a minute, Miss Trudy. Mm-hmm. You all served here for a long time, and he was here on a trip just like this one. And he went to be with the Lord. Now, what I would tell you about that, knowing Stan and him serving with us, is he was exactly where he wanted to be when he got to go see the Lord. How has that changed things, though, as far as Alpha in the last few years, or has it?
It hasn't changed Alpha a lot. I know after he passed, people asked me, will you keep going back? Why wouldn't we? The call was still here. God gave a call, and part of that was my call. Other people felt called to be here. So we're still fulfilling that call. Now, it changed just a little bit because of leadership. I was in a support role, and Stan was the leader. Luckily, we grew up a young man, David Drennan, that helped, just took on that role. He assumed that role, and he was actually with Stan when he passed. Mm-hmm. And that was a lot as a young man, and I'm saying in his 20s then. But he took on a leadership role. We in the past, before COVID, we would go to churches and speak about the mission and just the ministry and let people know how they could go and come with us and serve, or serve from their churches, however they wanted to do that. And David would go and do a lot of that. He was already helping Stan do that. So he just picked up the mantle. It was not easy the first year or two, because we were having to learn as we went, and I had to step into more of a leadership role than I had been doing before. But God's guided us.
Well, and as Stan would say, every time they load up, they're off like a herd of turtles. And I would challenge folks to understand this. And so I want to ask two questions as we close this out. Number one, if people want to connect, if they want to give, if they want more information, how do they do that?
Well, they can give to Alpha Ministries, which the address is 705 West Main Street, Princeton, Kentucky. They can give directly like that. They can call me. I have an email too, or they can call David, and he has an email too, and I'm sure they could call Jonas.
And so there are people that will answer their questions. Yes. And there is an opportunity folks would come to the church or somewhere to share what's going on, share information. And that's how they would identify whether or not they wanted to come on one of these trips or be a part of what's going on.
Get a lot more information.
So Jonas, out of that though, let me ask this. As we've been here this week and there's still more to come, what would you say are the greatest needs for people to pray for right now, and how to undergird this in the process?
I think the biggest prayer is for the people themselves, for strongholds to be broken. Satan has a strong grip through tradition and those kind of things. And, pray for that, and, praying for Brother Tommy and Miss Annie as they continue to minister, while praying for who will follow them, and pray for the pastors. It's a struggle out here. They don't get the support like maybe we do back at home and that kind of thing. So those are, I think, the big issues to pray for.
Yeah, and one of the things that's been said this week, I would challenge folks to definitely pray for the pastors. Brother Tommy is what we would call a community pastor. He connects to other preachers. He knows the area. He's been here all his life. And even if they're not his church members, he communicates with them and talks. And he said something from the pulpit Sunday that has been a burden for me to challenge people to pray for, and that is, he's been to some and they don't have a pastor anymore. Most every one of these churches, as Brother Tommy shared with us, is an indigenous pastor. So we need to pray that the Lord raise up pastors, leaders, not just folks that can be put in the pulpit, but that God would literally call out pastors to take a hold of these congregations and lead them in a way that would draw other folks to the gospel and what's going on. As we talk about all this, ultimately, when we talk to Brother Tommy, and you all need to know this, and maybe you can give some input to people, his greatest prayer concern was there's no leadership. Explain that, because we've got folks sitting at home that's never sat here on the reservation, and that sounds like a simple prayer request.
It's complicated.
Why is that so hard to get done?
I don't know exactly. I see the Navajo people in general as followers instead of leaders. Now, you meet dynamic people on the Navajo Nation who are wonderful leaders, but just as a culture, it seems like they're more followers, and that may be because it's tribal culture. Brother Tommy has poured into some men that were leaders, really trying to raise them up to be the next leaders of the church. And somewhere along the way, they would fall off from the training, from the leadership, or deviate to their own plans. And it's just complicated in their culture is very you have to remember, it's a cultural difference. We may see things black and white, and they're going to see it in 30 shades of whatever. And so it's hard for us to wrap our minds around how they think and behave.
The one thing that I see that is unique when you drive onto the reservation is there is a slow pace. So getting in a hurry, even in communication, just a simple conversation, it's not a straightforward answer. It is, I have to tell you what's going on. I have to describe what's happening. I have to, and then we'll get to the answer. So Jonas, what do you think could be some of the key, or what do people need to be paying attention to as we pray for leadership and helping them understand?
As we've talked about, pray for God to call out particular people. Call out. I think a lot of the leadership roles that are taken are not so much called out as, well, there's a position that needs to be filled, and hey, I think I can fill that.
And or pointed out based on the conversations I've had. Mm-hmm. You just need to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so, we need God to move on particular people that's impressed in their heart to lead.
Well, as we get ready to close out this session of Crosstalk, let me give a couple of challenges to those of you who are listening. And number one is pray for Miss Trudy and David and other people that are on the board and those that participate and lead like Jonas as they plan the future with other opportunities or needs that are there. The second is when we talk about leadership and we talk about the need in the church. One of the things that I shared with the pastor here is this. The same thing is happening in our area where we live. There are 20 churches that I know of in immediate area without a pastor. We are designed to have leadership in our life. We're designed to have direction and focus in our life, but somehow in the world we're living in today, folks have missed that. But I believe it comes from one simple plan, and that is this. The scripture says, without revelation, the people cast off restraints. That revelation is a God-given, breathed direction, but it can't come without a relationship with the Father. And I challenge you that some of you that are listening to me, we talked about other gods being on this grounds and how that we're divided in our heart. And Jonas mentioned darkness to light. And I want to ask Jonas just to explain how you do that. What are the first steps in moving from darkness of lostness to light so that you can see the vision that God's got for you?
Yeah. Well, obviously, the first step is recognizing God as the creator of the universe. The fact that he created the universe and then created us as social human beings, created for a relationship with him. But when given the choice, humanity screwed it up and we fell from grace. But God gave a promise 6,000 years ago. God gave a promise to Adam and Eve. A promise of redemption. 2,000 years ago, he fulfilled that promise by sending his son Jesus, and that opened it up for the whole world, for you and I to, by faith, come to Jesus Christ. And so it doesn't matter where you're at, what culture you come from, what religion or background, it works the same. There is a kingdom of darkness, and the devil would destroy us, but there is a kingdom of light that has overcome the darkness, and you can join it by faith.
I would challenge you with this. If you've never put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ, he is the answer. He did say he was the way, the truth, and the life. No other way, no other gods. It's only through Christ and Christ alone. And as we sit here, I would challenge you, pray for Alpha Ministries, but pray for the Navajo Nation. As we sit here in this place, you can't see it visibly, but if you were to walk outside, some of the most beautiful landscape that there is that identifies, as we've talked with David, who's behind the camera, and folks at the table as we eat together, there's no doubt that there's a God who created this place. He's not a higher power. He is a God who desires a relationship and wants to guide us and lead us with a plan and a purpose. It starts with the relationship with him, and then he can give you revelation on what to do, how to do it, and where to go. And those that are seeking, he wants to give it to you. For those that are here in this place, pray that they would receive the gospel. Pray that Brother Tommy would have strength and there be somebody called out to lead in this process. And if you want to serve and participate financially or otherwise, Alpha Ministries is an opportunity for you to do that. We're here supporting them this week, and we're glad to be a part of what God's doing. Until the next time we come to you with whatever God's laid on our heart, we say God bless to you, and continue to remember as we come that Jesus Christ is the answer.
Thank you for joining us on CrossTalk Radio and for personally investing in the lives of so many others with your prayers and giving. If you would like to learn more about HR Ministries, visit hrministries.net.